one of my clients texted me like, I hate working with this guy. He's doing jack shit. I'm doing everything myself. Can I kill him? Probably not. But if yes, do let me know. And believe it or not, that's totally normal. She just got her faculty position and she's teaching her first course with the department head. So she's in a particularly difficult position, but I just had a client on Friday who is department head and he might not get his grant because of a mistake that somebody else made. Many scientists come to career coaching because their biggest challenge is how to work with people. And I agree. Actually, I'm a people person. That's my scientific superpower. But even I find it difficult to work with people, especially physicists. And sometimes they are the problem, but sometimes it's me. And if that sounds like it could be you too, today we're gonna cover 4 ways to fix that so that working with all kinds of people becomes a pleasure for you, or at least not a nightmare. If we haven't met yet, I'm Kathy Charasia. I'm a physicist and a career coach for brilliant scientists who are at a career transition. My job is to help you cross that energy barrier by defining your goals and creating a strategy to reach them so that you can create a career and therefore a life that you love. But you can't do that without people. And if that's not your scientific superpower and you hate working with people, I understand that and I don't blame you. But it's still a problem because a successful scientific career depends on how well you work with people. And if you don't know if your strength as a scientist is that you're a people person too, you can find out what your scientific superpower is at kathy.science/quiz. Let's start with part 1, when you're the problem. It's actually faster to do it yourself. And this usually involves normal people, as in not physicists. For example, one of my clients, when he became department head, he came to coaching with people who are always waiting for input, like secretaries or technicians. I now realize that I'm bad at that. I don't have a secretary or a personal assistant because they want me to tell them what to do, and that just doesn't work. This may not be a problem for you yet. You can schedule your own meetings and buy your own flights and file your own reimbursements and still be a highly successful group leader. But as you progress in your career, not being able to work with the department secretary will become a problem for you because when you become department head, meetings involve people from multiple departments and projects become increasingly complex. It's not just you and your own research group anymore, especially if you're in a cross-functional role in industry where you have stakeholders across departments but also across divisions where you have responsibility but you don't have authority. Your success as a scientist then depends upon your technical skills as well as your ability to bring divisions together in order to accomplish joint projects. Yes, it is faster to just do it yourself, but that's the wrong approach because it's short-sighted. Working with secretaries and technicians is not about being efficient. It's about doing your job, which is giving them the input that they need so that they can do their job. After all, when they can do their job well, you can do your job well. And if this sounds like it could be you, approach this by continually giving people the input that they need when they need it. And as always, when you make a request, be clear and kind about exactly what you need and when you need it. Category number 2, when you think that they're stupid. This is a common problem that most scientists, including me, have when analytical thinking is your strength. I'm looking at you, numbers nerds. You think and talk lightning fast. You do your work to the highest standard and you do it on time every time. It's normal to judge people who don't as stupid or really smart slackers. And you think they don't realize that. But the problem is, they do. It shows in what you say and how you say it, and what you don't say and how you don't say it. Those people hate working with you too. Because who wants to be the stupidest person in the room? Not me. And that shows in your results, or lack thereof. While judging stupid people is normal, it's not particularly helpful. So if this sounds like you, it might be helpful to change your perspective. Is this person an expert in their field? They might not be a physicist, they might not even understand how research works, but are they an excellent lawyer who can get you the signatures that you need in order to submit your grant? And if the answer is no, they actually aren't an expert in their field, then, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago, perhaps it's time for a change in collaborators. When your thoughts are actually doing the talking for you, whether you intend them to or not, then it's helpful to take a step back and ask yourself if your own attitude is slowing down progress on your project. We talked about how to work with thoughts in last month's video, and I will link it down below for you. But what if your thoughts are correct and they actually are stupid or slackers? That brings me to part 2, when they're the problem. Category 3 is when they're not doing their part. Both my clients this week were actually in this category. The roles and responsibilities were clearly defined for her course and his grant, but their colleagues didn't do their part. To be blunt for a second, they're not doing their part because they know that you will. This is a game of chicken. They think you'll blink first because you don't want your grant or your group or your students to pay the price. I know this category a little too well from the receiving end because I'm responsible to my core. I don't drop the ball. But there is an important distinction between not dropping my ball or catching yours. Category 3 is not about saying no when other people ask you to do their part. We covered that in a previous video, how and when to say no, and I'll link it down below for you. Category 3 is about when people just don't do their job. No wonder you don't want to work with them. I don't blame you. And if you can stop working with them, please do. But if you can't stop working with them, there's only one solution to this problem. Call their bluff. Don't blink. Let the ball drop. I know that you don't want to. Your work will suffer. Your paper won't be as good. You might not get that grant. Your course will be worse. This will be hard. It will cost you. But there's no other way. If there was, I'd tell you. And if you don't have the skills to deal with the difficult emotions that can arise when you've already done your part, when you've done the best that you can, but the result that you got was not what you wanted, but it wasn't up to you, we covered that in last month's video, and I'll link it down below for you. Here's a fact. If you keep picking up their balls, they'll keep dropping them. And there's a name for not letting other people experience the consequences of their actions. It's called codependency. And that's not what I want for you, especially in your professional relationships. Category 4 is the hardest to handle, and that's when people say harmful things. When, because sadly, it's not if, a colleague makes a racist or sexist comment that is belittling or dismissive, and you're on the receiving end, don't stay calm. Yeah, you heard that right. When the department head says women are good physicists, which actually happened when I was a PhD student, that female faculty member was right to get up and walk out of the room. Stay calm is the worst thing that you can do because what he said is actually harmful, not just to her, but to everyone in that room. And the other faculty members in the room, 100% of them male, it's their role and responsibility to intervene and educate the department head, who frankly should already have an education. Because look, if you're walking down the street and someone gets hit by a car, you wouldn't be like, stay calm. they'd be like, ow, 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 ow. And you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And you'd call the police, even if it was an accident and the driver didn't intend to hit that person. And if you are the scientist who is hurt by this comment, and you should be hurt because the comment is harmful and wrong, it's possible that you're the only person in the room with a capacity to stand up for yourself. It's sad, but it happens. For example, it happened to me at a faculty interview, and at the time I was surprised, but later on I read in the newspaper that that university has the worst diversity issue in the country, and they're trying to fix it. Yeah, obviously they're not trying that hard. And if this sounds like it could be you, I'm so sorry. What can be helpful in the moment is one, perspective. They're in the wrong. They should be embarrassed, not you. And two, prepare a couple of phrases that you can pull out of your back pocket. For example, what I said in that situation is, yikes, that's so sexist and racist in addition to being wrong. You must be so embarrassed having said that out loud, especially in this room full of really smart physicists who know the decades of data that proves otherwise. And then let the silence speak for itself. Also, don't accept that job offer. You won't be given the resources and support you need in order to be successful in that environment. If you hate working with people, it's most likely because you're in one of these 4 situations. Figure out which category you're in and use one of these methods in order to resolve the problem so it doesn't keep bothering you. But what if you're responsible for that slacker's performance? You're not a colleague, you're the group leader, you're the manager, you're essentially the boss of that postdoc who defends his sexist comments to the death in the hallway. A PI in Leadership Lab is dealing with that right now. And just in case you are too, next week we're going to discuss how to manage people as a scientist.